Boker Tov, today's Daf is Daf Chav Zayin Bava Kama. Again, we learn for Achenu Kol Beis Yisrael and Sumat Sarah Shivya. The last word in the second line on the page. The case was where somebody had thrown a baby off a roof, and somebody else came below, and before the baby hit the ground, took a sword and killed the baby. So we said that the Gemara said yesterday that that he's putter. The guy with the sword is putter. Why? Well, we said it's not really. It depends on the machlokas between. If it wasn't the baby, if it was, let's say, a piece of glass or kitchenware or some china, and the guy below broke it with a bat, so he could say he's putter because what he broke was a broken item. It was in another second it was gonna hit the ground anyway. In the case of a baby being thrown down and then being knifed or with a sword or whatever by the guy below, we said it's machlokas rebuta and b'seir the rabbanan, because if 10 people kill a guy, according to the rabbanan, they're all putter because you don't know who killed them. Everybody contributed to him, so not one person you didn't kill the whole person, you killed partial. Whereas the Buddha says the last guy killed him because he finished him off. So according to Rav Meir, in the case of the baby, he'd be chayav. So he said that's right. Let's say the baby was thrown off from the roof, and then it wasn't killed by a person holding a knife or a sword, but rather a shore came and finished off the baby, killed the baby with his horn, killed the baby. What do you say there? It's a machlokes opinion of Shmuel and Rabbanan. The Tanya b'nosan pidya nafsho. When we talk about kofar, we learned that if a shore mued, or according to Tarfon, even a shore tam, who killed a person, if he killed a person, a shore mued pays the full amount. He pays the value. That's called kofar. So he said, according to Rabbi Yosef Lili, he pays half kofar. A tam pays half kofar. And Rav Tarfon extrapolated from that even B'shus HaNizek, wherever it was, he paid the full amount, the kofar. But how do you assess the kofar? Tanya b'rasan pidya nafsho demei nizek. You pay what the person who was killed, what he was worth on the market. No, you pay what the kofar's ransom. He's ransoming his own body out. The owner of the animal, he has to ransom himself. So you pay the value of the mazik. So in this case, where a baby was thrown down and was about to hit the ground and die, and a shore came and killed the baby, and a baby is a person, whether he's a day old or 100 years old, so the owner of the shore should be chayiv to pay kofar. However, what's the value of the baby? Nothing, because the baby was about to die anyway. So therefore, if you say that he paid the value, the kofar is the mei nizik, say the mei nizik, it pays nothing, because what would you pay? The nizik isn't worth anything. The baby's not worth anything. If you paid the mei masik, then you would pay. So here we said if somebody threw a baby down from the roof and a shore came and killed the baby before it hit the ground, if you say that you go according to the mei masik, what the masik is worth, so whatever the owner of the shore, whatever he's worth, that's he would pay kofar to the family of the baby. If you say, but no, that's not how you look at it. You look at what he's worth now on the market, and in this case where he's dead. So if you pay the kofar is the mei masik. Yes, when you pay nezek, you do look at that. When you pay nezek, when you damage a person, or when let's say if you would pay the demei nizik, if you pay the demei mazik, then what is he worth on the market? The simple case of nezik is you pay what are they worth on the market. That if you sold them as a slave, what would their value be? There are cases where future earnings or what he's worth or what the person's worth. Let's say he's a diamond cutter, or he's got some specialty, or he's a brain surgeon or something like that. Yeah, he's worth more on the market than a regular guy. Yeah. But over here, we're saying, what is the nizik worth? In this case, the nizik is a baby and he's really dead because he's killing the person who's basically dead already. So since the shore killed, yes, if you went and you killed somebody and there was no case of misa against you, whatever that, you could say mezik is what that person is worth, what his earnings are worth, what he's worth on the market, because he could do brain surgery versus a person who's a simple laborer. Yeah, there you would say that. But over here we're talking about the kofar, and you're talking about the value of the nizik, and he's already dead. Basically, he's going to be dead in a second anyway. So there you wouldn't have to pay anything if you wouldn't have to pay kofar. I mean, the shore you'd still have to pay, let's say the value of whatever the baby would be worth. What would somebody pay for that baby, let's say, right? But baby, that you might be able to pay, that's not kofar. That's really nezek. That's really nezek. So here, that's the question that's raised over here. The guy who threw him down from the roof, he would be the one who really killed him, right? Effectively killed him because he was gonna die. So that whoever threw him down would be responsible to pay maybe the main nezek. Or if he's not killed already for murder, whatever it is. If it was an accident, whatever it was, either he's down the misa if he was committed murder, or if he knocked him over by accident. It was an accident, he'd still have to pay the main nezek. But in terms of the kofar that the owner of the shore would have to pay, that depends if you go by the masik or by the nezek. Yeah.
So why would the owner of the shore have to pay kofar at all? If the baby's already dead.
Right, then he wouldn't have to pay. If you say that you go according to
if you go according to the nezek, you wouldn't have to pay kofar at all.
Okay, but the shore finished him off. Like we were going to say, if the shore finished him off, the shore was one who finished him off. He'd have to pay. Yeah, right. So that's right. So that's exactly the question. If the shore came and killed him, he was about to die anyway. Do you pay maintenance or do you pay mazik? That's exactly the question. Why should he pay anything? But because the fact is that the shore killed him. So if the shore killed him, there's an Indian of kofar. Kofar is not like the value of the person necessarily. If you say it's the value of the nizik, right? So then it's not worth anything. It's the value of the mazik. It's like he's ransoming his body. The owner. What is the owner paying for? If it's the main mazik, what is he paying?
Should have been killed. So instead of being killed, he's
that's the kofar. That's the concept of kofar. That it's not like a reason you're paying actually nezek. That's what Moshe asked. You're paying nezek. You're paying what the guy is worth. We're not looking at what the guy is worth. You're paying a kofar, like a ransom, to ransom you from God that you shouldn't be responsible.
Is the shore discount?
The shore would be killed. Yeah, the shore would be killed because the shore killed a person. Right. The shore would still be killed, presumably. Yeah. The shore would still be killed. Yeah. The same way that Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira says that the last guy killed him. According to Rabbi Beseira, if you threw a baby down, another guy took a sword and killed him, the last guy would be chayav misa for that, right? Chayav misa because he's the one who finished him up. Kirav misaso. He killed him a second before he would have died anyway, let's say. So you're Kirav misaso. So here you could say the same thing. The shore killed him a second before he would have died. But if you only paid the main nizik, in terms of the value of the person at that point, not worth much because he's about to die anyway. Yeah, so Linyan Kofar, Rabbi Shmuel over Kofar Rashi says, but Mazik Shamin and Misham Kofar, Aval Rabbanan, Nizak, he's not worth anything right now. So if you pay what he's worth right now, he's not worth anything and you wouldn't have to pay at all. You wouldn't have to pay Kofar.
What does the issue of trade bumping? In other words, if you have 10 guys.
I think treifa is physical, meaning if you know that he has a wound that's terminal, not a sickness, because a sickness. No, in general, treifa is a wound that's terminal, not a treifa like a guy who's, let's say he has somebody has a terminal cancer, because there's miraculous recoveries.
I understand.
Yeah.
10 guys who were stabbed.
Right, and the seventh guy made him a treifa, then the other guy, right, you wouldn't have to pay. Here we're talking about where it's not a treifa per se. Right, good point. All right, so Amar Rabba, here's a real funny case. Nafal Maroshagag, a man fell off. A man apparently was naked, and maybe he was taking a shower on the roof, and he was washing up, and he fell down. What's called Rashi says in a ruach matsuya. In other words, it wasn't an abnormal wind. It just something happened and he got blown over, and he fell down off the roof. And he should have anticipated that he could fall down. So it's what we call karav l'meisid, v'niska b'isha. And when he fell down, he got inserted into a woman. Basically, he fell on top of a woman and had bia with her. Against his, he didn't plan on doing it. He just fell off the roof, and that happened. She apparently was taking a bath at the same time downstairs. So Chayiv Dal Farm, you have to pay the 4 things. what are the four things? So we'll see. We're going to explain what they are in a minute. Let's say it was his sister-in-law. His brother had just died. He was upstairs taking a shower because he didn't want to show everybody else he was taking a shower. He was in Shiva. So his brother had just died with no children, and he was upstairs taking a shower. Now, what's the halacha by Yavama? Yavama, how do you complete Yavama? By having beer with her, consummating. So here, let's say that woman was his sister-in-law. She wouldn't be kona her. Why? Because he had no intention for beer there at all. He just fell off the roof. He fell off the roof. He just fell off the roof and he fell into her. Now, don't ask me about erections. It's possible, even if there's just a Neshika Saver, that's good enough. We're not going into that detail, but whatever it was, he fell on top of her. And there was, effectively, there was what you call coitus. There was something there. The Ivarim did touch, the genitals touched. So he's not going to the Yavama because he had no intention for Bia. Even though we say in the beginning of the sixth parak in Yavamas, we learned that you're going to the Yavama, whether it was B'shogeg, B'mezid, B'onis, B'ratzam, but at least he had intention for Bia, maybe with some other woman. But my mistake, he had this woman. But here he had no intention for Bia at all. So this is a case where Reuben died, had Bia with his wife. Obviously, he had married her. And Shimon fell off the roof and had Bia with her, but it doesn't count. And then Levi could actually perform Yibam on the same woman in that case. Okay, but what are the four things you're chayiv for? Nezek tzari b'sheves, avol boshes lo. You're not chayiv for embarrassing her unless there was an intention to do damage. Avol boshes lo. So over here, he's chayiv for this because we said b'adamud la'olam. Didn't we say yesterday that you're not chayiv on the dal varim if you didn't do it on purpose? Well, this again, Rashi says is karav lamezid. It's almost like purpose because you should have anticipated that you could fall off the roof. It wasn't an abnormal. It wasn't like all of a sudden a tornado came. So therefore, you are high for the dal varim, but nesik sari and shevis, but not boshes. The tran en chayav al boshes actually is achim miskava until you have kavana. You have kavana. Now, kavana doesn't mean to embarrass her necessarily, but kavana leads to do damage. Remember up enough from Rosh another case. You fell off from a roof shein mitzuya in an abnormal wind. In other words, it was a tornado, let's say, a hurricane, a big strong wind came. He couldn't have anticipated it. The hizik, and he embarrassed somebody, he hit somebody, he fell on somebody, ubayish, and he embarrassed them. Chayav al nezek, he's chayav for the nezek, upater badal dvarim. Because again, since over here was a total accident, he didn't know it wasn't amazing, it wasn't even korov amazing. Wasn't even korov amazing. He just, couldn't have anticipated it. All of a sudden, he was on the roof, and a big wind came along, tornado, and knocked him down. Now, so there, he's chayav. Only on nezek, only on the damage. And nezek means what damage did I do? If they were before a brain surgeon and now he broke his hand permanently, he can't perform, and now he could just be a watchman, so you'd have to pay for that depreciation. That's what nezek is. It's like chas. It's like how much has he been devalued now? Upater, right? Upater b'dal dvarim, and he's pater from those things because he didn't do intention. But if it was a normal wind, should have anticipated. That's already kar of lamezid. And therefore, he did damage. Ubayish and he embarrassed her. So there you're chayiv on the four things, right? So there, so if Moshe got and Mitsuya, he's potter on the dal varm entirely. If it was an abnormal wind, a tornado, then he's potter. He only has to pay depreciation. He has to pay for tsari, b'shevas, and boshes. If it was a wind that he could have anticipated, he could have anticipated. He should have anticipated it. Then he's chayav for the four things too, but not boshes. Nezek saripo and sheves, but not boshes, because he had no intention at all even to hurt her. Right? He had no intention. But if on his way down off the roof, when it's way down, he realized that he might hit the ground directly, and he instead tried to turn around so that he should hit her, so she should break his fall, or him for that matter. It doesn't have to be her. They're not talking about the case of Bia. We're talking about where he just fell in the sapach. Then he's chayv afalaboshes. Then he's even chayv for embarrassing, even though he didn't intend to embarrass the person, but he did intend to use that person, right, to break his fall. The time when two men are fighting, and the wife of one of them takes her hand and sends her hand to try to protect her husband. Any of their shechzika, don't we know that she grabbed a hold of the other person, the husband's enemy? As soon as she had intention to do damage, even though she had no intention to embarrass him, you still have to pay, because that's where the inyan of boshes is mentioned, that you have to learn Ripushavas of boshes from there. So the idea here is that you're chayiv on the 5 things where you had intention to do damage. If you had no intention at all to hurt this person, you didn't have any intention at all, and if it's your fault, it's a car of Lamesa, you have to pay Nezek Tzar, Ripui, and Sheves. If you had intention to fall on this person, right, when you fell down, you should have anticipated, and then you tried to use that person to break your fall, even though you had no intention to embarrass him, but you had intention to use him and to benefit from him, then you have to pay for boshes as well, all 5 things, Nezek, Tzari, Sheves, and boshes. So in a regular case where 2 people are fighting, so then obviously you have to pay all 5 things, or if you damaged him, with some intent. If you had no intent at all, then you only have to pay for Nezek, not for the other 4. Amarava. Another thing Rabba said, all these things are members of Rabba since the top of yesterday's Amud Beis. Let's say you left a hot coal on somebody's chest, and that person died, and the person could have just taken the coal off and removed it. So he died, he didn't putter because the victim should have just removed the coal. Let's say you put the hot coal on his clothing, not where it hurt the person, just you burned his clothing, minister from the clothing burned up, you have to pay. So you say, why didn't the person remove it? Because he could say, I don't care, he already burnt it, I'll let him burn it, I'll claim in court that he should pay for me, that he should pay for the shirt. But if he killed the person with it, and the person could have removed it, he let himself die. We learn both these things in Brises. Alibo, with the first one, that if you put a coal on a person's chest, it's not if you forced him, you pressed him down into a fire. In other words, you trapped the person in a fire or into the water, you didn't let him out, you killed him, you can't get out of there. If you killed him, that's direct death. Let's say you pushed him into a fire or into the water, he could have gotten out. You pushed him in, but he could have gotten out of Meis Potter, because obviously you shouldn't do that, Potter of Alasser, but you're Potter because the person could have saved himself. He's a bardas, he should have walked away. Big though, if you burn his clothes, how do you know the time Koras? He says, Kras Ksusi, tear my shirt. The guy says, tear my shirt. Or Shaberas Kadi, or break my jug. Chayev. You chayev to pay. Why? Because you say, but he told me to do it. I said, he says, listen, I said, go ahead and do it and pay me for it. I don't care if you want to break the jug, you're welcome to break it and pay for it. Let's say the guy said, the owner of the jug said, I'm manas liftor, break it and you don't have to pay for it, then potter. Boy, Rabbi, what happens if you left the coal on the chest of your Eved, your Eved Ebiknani, and the guy died? What would you say there? Is it the Eved's fault for not removing it, or is it the damager's fault, and you have to pay 30 shekels? Fine, somehow. Kagufadami, is he like the owner of it's like the body of the owner? Okamona, or is it like his asset, like his assets, his money, like the case of the shirt? If you say it's like his goof, that the Eved should have removed the coal, and therefore when he died, it's the owner's tough luck. What about Shoroma? What about his short? You put it on his shore and he died. After he asked the question, right? After he raised this question, Rabbah had all these cases that he mentioned, but this one he had a question. He himself was posher. He decided the question. Eved is a human being. Despite everything, he's a human being, and therefore, if he should have removed the coal, if he didn't remove the coal, he contributed to his own death. A shore though doesn't have seichel. We saw the other day with the goat. We're next to the burnt down the gadish. The goat doesn't have the brains to leave. So even if you didn't tie him down, you're responsible for that. Same over here. Shore is like your money. If you left the shore, or that the shore doesn't have the brains necessarily to knock the pole off, and therefore if he died, it's the attacker's fault. I don't know if Gates at a regal that ends the second parak. A famous parak, one of the first Gemaras I think we learned as kids. A person's walking along, and he was tired, and he put his jug down in the street. And we'll see, it was common to do that. We're not talking about a person built a bore in the middle of the street, which is obviously going to do damage. Still, he did something which was considered half normal. You're tired, you put your gut down, but still, it is an obstacle in the Rosh Hashanah, so it's like a bore. Another guy came and stumbled on it. The shover broke it. Potter. The stumbler is not responsible to pay because it was sitting there in Rosh Hashanah. What was he? He didn't notice it, or whatever. We'll see. He didn't notice it and he broke it. If he got damaged by it himself, he tripped on it, he fell, broke his knee, broke something or whatever. The owner of the chavis of the jug has to pay for it. So here the Gemara deals with the nomenclature. What do you mean? He said you left your jug. A kad is a jug. A chavis is a barrel. Basically, they're the same terminology. Kad is usually smaller and a chavis is bigger, but they're both receptacles for liquids. So the first question is, so we understand the Mishnah. The Mishnah says, you left it there. A guy tripped on it. And he broke it. The guy who tripped on it is potter, and if he got hurt by it, the owner of the kad has to pay for it, even if he was mafker it, because it's a borb. It's effectively a stumbling block in Rosh Hashanah. It's a borb Rosh Hashanah. But first, why does the Mishnah start off with kad and end with chavis? Pasuk lekad v'sayim b'chavis. What are we talking about? A jug or a barrel? It doesn't really make any difference. We also in a similar case. So one guy's coming along. One guy's walking Rosh Hashanah with his barrel, and one guy comes along with his beam. They're walking towards each other. They're both allowed to. That's what Rosh Hashanah is for transporting goods and people, etc. And the guy came along with his beam. The beam broke the guy's barrel. He's putter. Putter paying. Why? Because I had the right to walk around with my beam there. You had the right to walk with your barrel. Putter. But here the problem is, it says and then it says nishbra kado. So here, you start off with the word chavis, and you end up with kad. What are you talking about? A big barrel, a little barrel? You saw another one. One guy came along. One guy's walking along with this barrel of wine. One's coming along with a barrel of honey. Needs to go chavish shelbash, and the barrel of honey, the honey per liter costs a lot more than the wine, and the barrel of honey broke, cracked, and he was about to lose all his chavis. But Shavuot said, "Yeah, I know." And the owner of the barrel of the wine dumped out his wine. He sold shelbash and saved the honey from going back because he was worth a lot of money. So he sold shelbash and he used this barrel for the wine. Eino ella scharo. Now you might say, now what happened? The owner of the barrel of wine says, listen, first of all, pay me for my wine. I dumped out the wine to save yours. All he's entitled to is his workmanship, meaning his hours that he worked, and he worked on behalf of this guy, Kishar Paul. He's not entitled to the wine, right? Because he did that on his own, and there was no agreement made in advance. Okay, that's the halach over there. But here also is possible. You talked about a guy came with this barrel of wine, and then you say, and he saved. So again, you talked about the jug of dvash, of honey, and then you say the barrel of honey broke. So again, here you're also using this two different words. Again, you started off by talking about a jug, and you finished off with the barrel. So what's going on over here? Why are you using the words interchangeably? Yes, in general, kad is a smaller one, a chavis is a big one, but the idea is that they're both can refer to the same item. Some people call it a kad, some people call it a chavis. If I tell you I'm going to sell you a chavis and I give you a kad, fine. I delivered. Kad and chavis are he says more. So wait a minute. Let's understand. If you're talking about a city where nobody calls a kad a chavis and they don't call a chavis a kad. A chavis is a big barrel and a kad is a small barrel or a jug. Hello, Carla, he didn't call it that. So what are you talking about? If I sold you a chavis and I give you a kad, and everybody knows a chavis and a kad is a kad, they're not one and the same. How do I get away with this? Most people call a kad and a chavis a chavis. Some people are not makbid. Some people call a big barrel a jug, and a small jug will call it a barrel. Not the same as basar. Let's go basar. We have a klal. We say acharab mahatos. That when it comes to isur, when it comes to piskei din, when it comes to commerce, we don't go by that. So therefore, if I tell you I'm selling you a barrel and I give you a small jug, some people use it the same way. They call them both jugs. And it's okay. Rashi brings down another case, a famous case we'll see later on too, where I sell you a shore. And it turns out that the shore is a goring shore. It causes a lot of damage. And, and you say, listen, that's not what I want. I didn't want one. I'm going to, so he says, no. How am I going to use this shore on my fields for farming and for plowing, it's going to constantly damage the other animals. It's a wild shore. I don't want that. It's a mistake. He says, no, I thought you bought it for meat. I thought you were going to shecht and use it for meat, where it didn't make any difference if he's a shore, not a chana. So unless you specified it, you don't go basaro. A shore is a shore. You didn't say shore l'charisha. You said shore. Okay, you don't go basarav. Even most animals are sold for charisha. For most of cows, most bulls, whatever, are sold for that. Some are sold for shchita. So you don't go basarav when it comes to money matters. This we say go basarav is only for isur or for piskei halacha. So he said, you put your guy dumped his jug in the Rosh Hashanah. Another guy came and stumbled on it and broke your potter. Am I potter? Why are you potter? Why didn't you look where you were going? Why didn't you look where you were going? We're not talking about a case where a guy built a bore in Rosh Hashanah, an obvious obstacle. The guy was walking along and he put down his jug for a minute. He was tired. What's the big deal? Why didn't you look where you were going? Why don't we say that? So we have several answers. In the name of Rav, they said, filled the whole Rosh Hashanah was full of barrels. There was no other place to walk. The whole thing was full of the whole place was full of barrels or kadim, whatever you want to call them, right? And therefore there was no. You couldn't say, why didn't you look where you were going? There was no other place to walk. Shmuel Amar Bafela was dark. It's dark. That's why it wasn't his fault. It was dark. I couldn't see it. Rabbi Yochanan Amar Karzal was right at a corner. Right at a corner, as you walk, you turn right face or left face or whatever, and you ran into it. You couldn't see it in advance. The Mishnah comes out better like Shmuel or Rabbi Yochanan. Shmuel says it was dark. Rabbi Yochanan says you couldn't see because it was a corner. Rav, you say like Rav, that the whole place was full of barrels. Meir Niska, why do you say he stumbled? I feel a shavar, even if he broke it on purpose. He said there was no other place to walk. I feel a shavar, even if he broke it intentionally. He should also be broke. Baratzon, also potter balachavas. That's going on the next Gemara. Excuse me. I'm reading Rashi on the next Gemara. So, who didn't feel shavar? The truth is that even if he broke it in our Mishnah on purpose, also would be potter. The reason he said niska, that he stumbled on it. I need to buy this safe, but my safe is going to say imhuzik bal chavas, imhuzik bal chavas. Let's go. That if the stumbling person got damaged, the owner of the chavas effectively left a bore there, left an obstacle. I have to pay the dafka niska dafka there. If he stumbled, if the guy walking, the person who got hurt, in this case the plaintiff, right? He'd be claiming from the owner of the chavas. If he stumbled on it and got hurt, then the owner has to pay for his damages. So we say over there the dafka niska dafka. If he stumbled, avol shavar lo. But if he broke it on purpose, lo my time. If a man's walking along and he broke the barrel on purpose and then he got hurt by it, then the owner of the barrel doesn't have to pay. He says, why did you break it? You didn't kick it correctly. That's what Rashi's going on. Dafka nisko, avol shavalo, avol shavav ratzon, yachka chuzek b'chra. So he got hurt by the shards or the pieces. That's why the Mishnah said that. So the truth is, he says, Rav Papa wanted to say that a Mishnah comes out either like Shmuel or Rabbi Yochanan, because if it was like Rav, if the whole place was full of barrels, so of course, even if you broke it, also you should be potter from paying for it. You should be potter from paying for it because you had no other place to walk. And Rav Zvit says no. The truth is, even if the Mishnah was also speaking, maybe broken on purpose, he'd be potter. The reason he said niska, that he stumbled on it, that he didn't break it first, is because the Sefer says if he got hurt, then the owner of the barrel has to pay for his damages. That's dafka if he stumbled. But if he broke it on purpose, it could be that he's potter from the guy who got hurt is potter from paying for the barrels because he had no other place to walk. And therefore he could break it on purpose. But if he broke it on purpose, he can't claim that he broke his foot or cut his foot, right? Because he hurt himself. So my time, who did I say? So Tani Reisha also in this go. But the truth is, even if he broke it on purpose, it's possible. So you can see the mission in several ways. Amalei Rav Abba, Rav Ashi Yachim, remember this is what they said in our Shlomish Maker Rav Ula, or Veloy, Lafish Ein Darkin Shal Bnei Adam Misponim Brachin. Okay, so what happened here was this. He's answering a different way. The first question we raised at the top of this page was what? If a person came along and stumbled on it, the stumbler, and broke it, he's potter. So the question was, why didn't you look where you're walking? So one answer is, Rav says, well, the whole place was full of barrels. There's no options. Shmuel says it was dark. Rabbi Yochanan says it was at a corner. They couldn't see it. Okay. In Eretz Yisrael, they asked this question. They said, you know why you're potter? Because people don't always look where they're going. It's not their job to look down. You're looking up. You're walking along. You don't always see what's on the ground. So therefore, if he broke the thing on the floor, not my fault. You left it on the floor. It's not my fault. And if I'm potter. However, there was a story like this in our door. Shmuel made the stumbler pay. But Pumpadisa, Rabbah, and Rabbah made him pay there. So Shmuel holds like what he said. He said, what's the reason why you're potter, the stumbler? Why is the stumbler potter from breaking the item in Rosh Hashanah? Because it was dark. In other words, number one, he's potter because it was dark, but if it was light, he'd be responsible for it. So, in other words, Shmuel says, our mission speak about where it's dark, he couldn't see it. Therefore, the stumbler is potter from breaking it. And if he got damaged by it, the owner of the bale would have to pay. So Shmuel says only because it was dark. Therefore, Shmuel said in Nagah, when it was a story like this, Shmuel says, no, the stumbler has to pay for it. He should have seen where he was going. It was light there. Shmuel said, I'm just speaking about where it's dark. You couldn't see it. From this or Rabba, Shmuel, does he also like Shmuel? That really the stumbler should have looked where he's going, except it was dark, it was a corner. So I'm a papa, no. Kind of the answer over here was it was a corner next to a base of bad, next to an oil press. To keep him the brishus cup, the iboila mazel. Reason over there is because he should look where you're going. In other words, some cases we said in Eretz Yisrael, they said it's not that they're looking going. However, there are cases where even though it's Rosh Hashanah, people have Rishus to put their stuff down over there. It's a normal place where people rest. It's a market. People put things down. Here, since it was next to a wine press or an olive press, it was normal for people to put their barrels there, their jugs there, because they're going to fill them up and take them home. So, he should look where he was going, and therefore, if he broke it, he has to pay. And that's why they were Shmuel, the guy who stumbled on it, should pay for it because he should look where he was going. Shachar of Chislev Nachman, Ari Amru said like this. We're talking about Boshas. We talked on Amid Aleph about Boshas, even though it's the last paragraph. He says that we have this problem here. Ari Amru Kubasholosh. If you kick somebody with your knee, there was a cloud that the Minig Dayan Rashi says that they would give a knas. If you kick somebody with your knee, you embarrass them by kicking him with his knee, and you pay let's say $3. Okay, 3 sellers, the boshas, the $3 boshas, maximum. In other words, if you hit him with your hand or something, you slap with your hand. That's a little bit of a shame. But if you hit him with the knee, that's a bigger embarrassment, and they made you pay $3. Let's say. If you kick him with your foot, right, then you pay $5. It's even a bigger boshas because you kicked him with your foot. Ula sanukeres shloshes. Sanukeres, Rashi says, is you hit him with the saddle of the donkey. You hit him with the saddle of the donkey. You pay $13. The panda demara, if you hit him with the handle of a hoe, ula kupina demara, or the blade of the hoe, what do you pay there? That's what Rav Chisda said to Rav Nachman. So, what do you pay there? What are you talking about? You're correcting knas? These are knasos. In Babel, there are no knasos because the rabbis aren't musmachim there. So he says, Chisda, what are you collecting knas? Tell me really what's going on over here. It can't be that they took him to court. You tell me in court you pay 3, 5, 13, whatever. What do you pay if you hit him with the handle of the hoe or the blade of the hoe? What do you pay? What are you talking about? You're not posketing over there. There's no knas in bubble. How are you talking about? Tell me really what happened. Shalach Lei, he sent him the following halacha. It's the following story which leads us into a new topic. Dahu Gagu said the betray. First problem is partnerships. Whenever there's a partnerships, you're guaranteed there's going to be fights. So these two guys owned a well. It was like a well of water that was owned by two people. They took turns. Sunday, Ruvain, Monday, Shimon. Tuesday, Ruvain, Wednesday, Shimon. They took turns drawing water. One guy came and he took water on the day that it wasn't his turn. He wasn't entitled to it. He stole the water. He says, listen, it's my day. You can't take water today. They didn't listen to him. Okay, so let's say Shimon took water on Sunday when it was Reuven's turn, and Reuven said, you can't take water today, you're stealing the water. There's not enough water. Maybe there's not enough water. It's not going to last till tomorrow, whatever. It's my day. You're not entitled. He didn't listen to him. Shoko Panda Demara. So Reuben took the handle of a hoe, Machya, and beat him with it. Amalei. So he answered him. I guess this is presumably this is Rav Nachman's answer to Rav Chisda. Meya Pandi Bapanda Lemech. Let him hit him 100 times with the handle. With Memechem. You could let him hit him 100 times with that because what was his choice? He had to do it there. Don't call that embarrassment. Even if you say, are you allowed to take the law into your own hands? Right? People say generally you can't take the law into your own hands. That's the law in usual democracies. Don't take the law. Just call the police. The police will. They always solve the case. You know? So he says, even if you say lo v'nishnavshe, over here, what is he supposed to do? It's Sunday. It's the middle of the day. This guy's stealing the water. What's he going to do? Go wait for court? By the time they get to court, it's too late. The water's all gone. He has his loss. So even if you say you can't take the law into your own hands, when there's a loss involved, you could. Rav Yehuda holds you're not allowed to take the law into your own hands. Person can take the law into their hands. When there's a loss, there's an immediate loss. You can't make it up. You can't wait to go to court. You can't call the police. You got to take it in. You see the guy stealing your stuff, go take it from him. When there's no loss. When there's no loss. So Rav Yehuda says, if there's no loss, wait to go to court. Keep the like of say, the lights will come at dinner. Go before the judge. Go before Dinah. But a person can take the law in his hands. To keep in the bedin, but since he's doing the right thing, he's taking it. He's entitled to it. Well, Torah, he's not required to bother himself and take the guy to court. The Mepharshim point out though that that's assuming that if he would go to court, he could prove his case. No, it's got to be very clear because the other guy could say, "What do you mean? You took the law into your own hands. You took more than was necessary. You weren't entitled to it." But if it's a clear case where the person suffering the loss is correct in his claim, then he says, and that's the psak really. Since he's taking it properly, by then he's entitled to it. He doesn't have to go bother with the court. Now we're going to see a bunch of questions about this idea. And we're going to show that basically, is like Rav Nachman, that a person's allowed to take the law into his own hands when he's really in the right. Let's say somebody has your item. Don't steal and don't climb your way and break into his yard to take it, even though it's yours. Shalom b'shus, without permission to enter his property. Maybe you'll appear to him like a gadam. Maybe he'll even shoot you or something, or he'll be upset. Like, why are you coming in there? Don't do it that way. Ella shvar shina, break his teeth. But I'm going to tell him shaliyat notel. In other words, confront him. Don't break into his house to steal what's yours. You're not even safer. You shouldn't appear like on him, but rather break his teeth, and you're entitled to. So what do you see over here? That you could take the law into your hands. So this is a kasha of Yehuda. Yehuda says you're not allowed to take the law into here. You're allowed to. Amalei imcha. Is this really Rashi lives to Pshat and Rashi? Bitmiya klomer v'chinir beinecha. Is this? You think this is right? Ben Bagba, who says that, he's a shitas yachid. He's an opinion of an individual. And the Rabbanan argue with him. The Rabbanan say you're not allowed to do that. So that's one thing. Another lashon Rashi is imcha teshuva zushe. This answer should stay with you. It's not a good answer because Ben Bagag is an individual. Zashitas Yaakov, the rabbis disagree. Rabbi Omar, my shvar shen. Rabbi says no. I'll tell you which shvar shen doesn't mean confront him. But then doesn't mean confront him, break his teeth, and take your item back. It means go to court. If it means go to court, what does it mean? Va'amor lo. You say va'amor lo shaliyanito. Va'amor lo. Va'omrim lo. The bezdin is plural. There's at least three judges there. They should tell me boy lay. Or shaliyanito shalono. The lashon should be va'omrim lo, and they tell him shalono that he's taking his own. That's what it should say. That's takakasha. So Rav Yani's answer that it means go to court is a little bit of a dochek, right? It's a difficult answer because it doesn't really sound that way. He says, tell him I'm taking my own item back. That doesn't sound like the court is telling him that. Therefore, you see that the proof was really that you're allowed to take the law in your own hands. But he answered. He says that's a shita yachid. That's not the shita of the Rav. On tomorrow's Gemara in Tashma, we'll see other proofs to this question about are you allowed to take the law into your own hands when you are in the right. Doesn't mean that everybody could just go and take somebody else's things. All right, have a good day, everybody. Okay.